Hi folks, I'm Matt and welcome to My Expanded Universe, a show where I go through the entire EU in chronological order as best I know. What's the word? What's the word? No, it's how. Alright folks, it's finally time to talk about the third and final book in Brian Daley's Han Solo Trilogy, and that's Han Solo and the Lost Legacy. Now, after blowing through all their reward money, Han and Chewie have to take up treasure hunting, and they're going to find the lost treasure of Zim the Despot. Now, watch out, because Galandro is on Han's tail, and he's looking for revenge. Now, what do I think about the book? Well, you already know what I'm going to say. I love Brian Daley. I love all these novels. And the third book is just as good as the other ones. I do not know the words to say this, but the characters feel good. The storyline feels realistic. You feel this is a Han story, man. I feel it's true to its character, man. It's just such a fantastic trilogy of novels, and it's super cheap to get online. You can get the reprinted paperback, oh gosh, for like a penny, I think. You could pick one up, plus shipping. But they're super cheap to get too. Now, Brian Daley, of course, is an author I told you who passed away too early. I would have loved to have seen him write some more stories. I can only imagine what they would have been about. Now, Galandro is a great character, and you're terrified of him. And you really shouldn't be, because you know it's Han Solo. He's going to get out of it, right? But Galandro seems to be a very intimidating figure. I mean, he's intimidating Han in the storyline. So it actually makes for a good rival and a recurring villain from the previous novel. Zim the Despot is kind of notorious, legendary for his riches. And so for them to explore his lost treasure is really nice. The whole fact that they're just broke, trying to make two ends meet is great. I could go on and on about these books. They're fantastic. Now, a little backstory here. I actually saw these books when I was a little kid. One of my friends, her older brother, was reading the novels. And when I was over at her house one day, I saw that novel on the desk. It's like, shut up, they made a Han Solo book? Ooh, I want to read this. And I was going to ask him if I could borrow it, take it home and read it. I was super excited. I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it was Han Solo's Revenge because I remember that cover the best, but it could have been the first one or the third one. I don't remember. But he told me, he said, no, because I asked him, I thought they were adventures that happened after Return of the Jedi, which had just come out. And he said, no, this takes place before the movies. And I remember I told him, I said, why would you care about what happens before the movies? I was like, ugh. And I, chunked the book. I didn't have any interest in reading the book because it was a prequel. Oh man, if I only knew, right? But I remember telling him that. And then he showed me some of the Marvel comic books that took place after Star Wars, and I was really interested in those. But he didn't have a complete collection, and he got in on the middle of the story. And I couldn't understand what was going on, so I was like, oh well. I just kind of let it be. And then years later, I come back, and I knew about these Han Solo books, and I didn't get them until they reprinted them all in the 90s. And when the reprint came out of those, the Lando Calrissian Trilogy and Splinter of the Mind's Eye, like I told you, I bought them all and I read them. And the Han Solo Trilogy was fantastic. In fact, I remember exactly where I was when I finished the novel. Now, I've told you this before from my video Star Wars from beginning to end, where all these books here are memories for me. I remember exactly where I was or what I was doing when I was reading each one. So for the Han Solo Trilogy, I remember I was in college and I was reading these, and I was about to finish the 3-in-1 novelization, and my buddy wanted me to go down to Baton Rouge with him because he had to do a job interview because he was about to graduate next year and he was looking for a job. And he was going to get a job, looking at a job at this factory or plant. So I traveled with him to Baton Rouge. We hung out the whole time, and then we went in. Well, she told me I couldn't wait there. There was no waiting room, and I had to go outside. I was like, okay, forget it, because they didn't have any chairs or anything. So I just walked back outside, parked under a tree, opened up my book. I think it had like 45 pages left from the Han Solo Trilogy novel, and I read the entire book while he was in the interview. And when I closed the book, when I finished it, I looked up and there he was. He went, hey, you ready? He was walking up to me. It was like, I said, man, perfect timing. So I asked him how the interview went. He asked me how the book was, and boy, did I tell him. But I remember exactly that moment from when I finished the book and how good I felt, because at the end, he's going off to get a job with Jabba, you know, kind of tying those strings together again. I was like, ooh. And I really wish there were more of those books. Now, funny I should say that, because years later I found out that Hungary really loved the book so much that they made their own continuation of Brian Daley's series. I mean, they published it and sold it in stores in Hungary. Now, the authors that they had were fake names. It was Ed Fisher and Steve Avery were the people who wrote them, and the title of the books were Han Solo Nomad, Han Solo Imperial Agent, Han Solo and the Bounty Hunter, and Han Solo's War. Now, I have no idea what all these are about. I do have them. They're easy to find online. PDF copies are everywhere. And supposedly if you go to any Hungarian used book dealer or antique shop, they have them available for pretty cheap, because I've heard people get online and say, oh yeah, I went over there and I found all 3 books or all 4 books and got them all. So if you're looking for a copy, they're not hard to find. Now, the only problem is, do you speak Hungarian? Because they haven't been translated. I tried to, you know, do the whole Google Translator thing, you know, pop into Google Translator and then get it out that way, but the sentences and the structure don't come out properly, and it really needs someone who knows the language. So if you know Hungarian, or maybe if you're going to buy Rosetta Stone and learn Hungarian, have I got a deal for you. Someday I hope that they will get translated, because even Lucasfilm didn't know these things existed until they reprinted them in the 90s, and that's when Lucasfilm found out about them and said, no, cease and desist. You cannot do that. That's plagiarism. You're taking our franchise, you know, our IP, and you using it for your own profit. So they shut them down after that. But I think there's even reprints out there. But that's why the books are so easy to find. But the thing is, though, that's really interesting that another country actually came up with their own expanded universe novels and sold them on the open market. I just find that so interesting, and that's what Brian Daley's great writing contributed to our society. People loved it so much they wanted to make their own. Screw the copyright. Let's make our own. And it's a fantastic idea. Now, whether those books are any good or not, I have no idea. But Brian Daley's books are spot on, and you definitely need to give them a try, especially if you're a Han Solo fan. All right, folks, that is all the time I have for now. See you next time.